Imagine a moment when everything seems lost, when the chill of grief has frozen your heart and the light of hope appears to have faded forever. In the midst of a desolate autumn evening, Rachel Carter, still reeling from the devastating loss of her beloved husband Daniel, finds herself drawn to a place she never expected, a forgotten animal shelter. Under a sky streaked with fading daylight and emerging stars, the neon sign of Haven Animal Rescue flickers like a dying ember, yet it beckons her with a promise of something more. Inside, amidst the distant barks and soft whimpers, her eyes meet those of Max, a 19-year-old German shepherd whose once proud coat has withered into a tapestry of grays, and whose sorrowful gaze tells the story of a lifetime of loyalty, pain, and abandonment. In that instant, the weight of loneliness and shattered memories shifts. Rachel, haunted by memories of Daniel's gentle smile and the comfort they once shared, sees in Max a mirror of her own broken spirit, a silent plea for care, a spark of hope waiting to be ignited. With every hesitant step towards the old dog, a promise is made that even in the depths of despair, new beginning is possible. Join us on a journey of redemption and healing, where the intersection of two lost souls transforms an abandoned shelter into a sanctuary of love and hope. This is not just a story of a dog waiting for a second chance. It's a story of how one brave decision can rekindle the fading light of the human heart. Stay tuned as we unravel the powerful tale of Rachel and Max, a journey where every heartbeat paves the way for a miraculous renewal. The next morning, as pale light filtered through the curtains of Rachel's modest home, she found herself unable to shake the image of Max from her mind. The quiet determination that had stirred within her the previous day now blossomed into a resolve to learn everything he had to offer, both his hidden history and the subtle messages his tired eyes had conveyed. Over a steaming cup of coffee, Rachel sat at her small kitchen table, poring over the adoption papers and records Ethan had reluctantly shared with her. Each document was a fragment of Max's life, a trail of moments and memories that had led him to this forgotten corner of the animal shelter. As she read, flashbacks began to weave into her thoughts. In faded photographs tucked away in the records, Max appeared proud and alert, a far cry from the defeated creature she'd seen just hours ago. He had once been a working dog, serving alongside officers in a busy precinct. One image showed him standing sentinel beside a uniformed officer, his eyes bright with purpose. A bond that spanned years. Another file revealed that Max had been the loyal companion of a respected police officer whose bond with the dog was as much about mutual trust as it was about duty. The officer's gentle smile in the photo hinted at long evenings of shared confidences and silent support during times of distress. Perhaps the most poignant detail was a letter from Max's former owners, a family that had cherished him for nearly 2 decades. The letter spoke of love and devotion, yet also of the difficult choices that had been forced upon them as Max's health declined. They had seen him as a living testament to loyalty, but ultimately, the harsh realities of aging had overwhelmed their capacity to care. These discoveries painted a picture of a life filled with purpose and love, a stark contrast to the loneliness that now defined Max's existence. With each piece of evidence, Rachel felt an even deeper connection to him, understanding that the echoes of his past might mirror the silent grief lingering in her own heart. That afternoon, determined to offer Max the comfort he desperately needed, Rachel began to make small changes around the house. She rearranged the living room to create a quiet, welcoming space where Max could rest, placing a soft, worn blanket near the fireplace, a spot that seemed to call out to both of them. The simple act of preparation was infused with hope, as if the home itself was readying for a new chapter. Later, as she sat on the porch watching the soft hues of the sunset, Rachel opened the front door slowly, allowing Max to experience the world outside at his own pace. The garden was small but carefully tended, with wildflowers pushing through cracks in the pavement, resilient and unyielding. It was a fitting metaphor for both Max and Rachel, a reminder that beauty could emerge even from neglected ground. At first, Max remained motionless, his gaze fixed on an indistinct point as if lost in his own memories. But then a subtle shift occurred. When Rachel quietly hummed a familiar tune, a melody that once belonged to her late husband, Daniel, Max's ears perked up. His eyes, though still heavy with weariness, followed the sound with cautious curiosity. In that moment, a bridge was built between the past and the present, as if the melody had summoned both lost memories and the promise of new beginnings. That night, as darkness settled over the quiet neighborhood, Rachel found herself sitting beside Max's makeshift bed. The soft hum of a lullaby filled the room while she gently brushed his matted fur. Her touch was tender and deliberate, each stroke a silent affirmation that he was no longer alone. Max's breathing, slow and measured, seemed to synchronize with the rhythm of her own heartbeats, a quiet shared cadence that spoke of trust slowly taking root. While sleep eluded both of them, their minds wandered through a tapestry of recollections. Rachel recalled the moments with Daniel, his laughter, his kind eyes, and the way he had once made even the darkest days seem bearable. Max, too, appeared to be caught in a reverie of days gone by, his eyes occasionally flickering as if remembering a time when he had run freely under open skies, filled with purpose and joy. In these hushed hours, a profound truth began to crystallize for Rachel. Healing was not about erasing the past, but about embracing it, acknowledging every joy and sorrow as stepping stones to a richer, more compassionate life. And in that understanding, she saw a reflection of Max's own journey, a quiet struggle to reclaim the spark of life that had once defined him. As dawn broke, its light gently dissolving the lingering shadows of night, Rachel felt a tentative optimism stirring within her. The journey ahead was uncertain, filled with the challenges of caregiving and the raw process of emotional recovery. Yet, in the quiet moments shared with Max, she sensed a mutual promise, a vow that they would navigate the difficult path together. The echoes of the past had not only revealed the depth of Max's story, but it also mirrored the layers of Rachel's own pain and resilience. With a renewed determination, she prepared herself for the day ahead, knowing that every small step, each hesitant wag of Max's tail, every soft, shared glance, was a victory over loneliness and despair. In the coming days, as Rachel continued to care for Max, she would begin to unlock more of the secrets hidden in his history. But for now, the most important lesson was clear. In the delicate interplay between memory and hope, both a wounded soul and a forgotten dog could find the strength to move forward, one gentle heartbeat at a time. In the weeks that followed, Rachel's quiet routine with Max began to yield subtle changes, small victories that illuminated his hidden strength. Yet beneath the surface of these gentle improvements, a mystery loomed. There were fragments of Max's past and adoption records that refused to be ignored, whispering hints of a life filled with service, honor, and even unexpected connections to her own lost world. One rainy afternoon, as the sound of droplets pattering against her window set a contemplative mood, Rachel sat at her dining table with Ethan Blake. Together, they revisited Max's records, poring over old documents and photographs with renewed determination. In a faded envelope marked confidential, they discovered a series of documents that detailed Max's previous life. The papers recounted how Max had once served as a police dog, a loyal companion to a dedicated officer. One particular photograph caught Rachel's eye: Max, in full working gear, standing proudly beside an officer whose kind eyes and determined smile radiated warmth. There was a brief mention in the letter about a bond of trust that went beyond duty. For a moment, Rachel felt an inexplicable tug at her heart, as if Max's past were echoing the deep, unspoken connection she had once shared with Daniel. Driven by the desire to understand more about Max's enigmatic history, Rachel arranged to meet Dr. Mitchell, the shelter's trusted veterinarian. In his modest, cluttered office, Dr. Mitchell confirmed what the documents hinted at. Max was no ordinary dog, he said in a low, reflective tone. He was trained for duty and service. I believe he was part of a unit that handled some very challenging cases. His loyalty was unmatched. Dr. Mitchell paused, studying Rachel's expression. There's even talk that his last assignment before retirement involved an incident that touched the lives of many, including some officers who lost friends on duty. I wouldn't be surprised if Max's presence here is more than just coincidence. Sometimes, the past finds its way back to us in unexpected forms. Rachel left his office with a mixture of wonder and quiet determination. The possibility that Max's past might have a connection to her own life filled her with a bittersweet hope. Could it be that the steadfast spirit of the dog before her had once shared space with Daniel, a symbol of protection and unwavering loyalty? The thought both comforted and unsettled her. Not everyone in town was moved by the gentle transformation unfolding at Rachel's home. Mr. Harrison, the outspoken skeptic, voiced his doubts in hushed conversations around the community center. "You're chasing ghosts," he muttered to anyone who would listen. A dog like Max, with his worn-out body and broken spirit, is beyond saving. You're only prolonging the inevitable. His words cut through the fragile hope that was steadily building in Rachel. One brisk morning, as she tended to Max in the garden, Mr. Harrison approached with a skeptical frown. "Rachel," he began, "why pour so much into an animal that's already seen better days?" It's just a dog, no matter how noble his past might have been. Rachel looked into his eyes, unwavering. Max isn't just a dog, she replied softly, her voice steady despite the underlying passion. He carries memories, lives, and lessons that we all have the chance to learn from. And sometimes, the most broken among us have the most profound stories to tell. The conversation left her thoughtful, as if each word from Mr. Harrison forced her to question the very essence of hope and redemption. Was her effort futile? Or was it precisely in these challenging moments that true transformation, both for Max and for herself, could be found? That evening, while Max rested on his favorite blanket near the fireplace, Rachel sat with a photo album in her lap. As she flipped through the pages, she found herself drawn to an old snapshot of Daniel. The image, warm and full of life, stirred memories of laughter and shared dreams. In a moment of quiet reflection, Rachel whispered to the darkness, "I miss you, Daniel. And maybe in some strange way, I see you in Max's eyes." A soft, almost imperceptible whimper from Max startled her, snapping her out of her reverie. For a fleeting second, his tired eyes seemed to hold a spark of recognition, as if in that shared silence he was trying to communicate a long-held secret. The air around them was charged with an unspoken promise that the past, however painful, could serve as a bridge to a future where healing was possible. With each passing day, Rachel became more determined to uncover the full story of Max's past and its potential connection to her own. The mystery was far from solved, but the journey was transforming both of them. As she continued to care for Max, through long nights of worry and quiet mornings of small triumphs, she found that the process of uncovering his history was also a path to rediscovering herself. In the quiet corners of their shared world, the echoes of past lives began to merge with the promise of new beginnings. And though doubts and external voices like Mr. Harrison still lingered, Rachel clung to the belief that even the most fragile souls could be mended by love, remembrance, and the courage to confront the unknown. Thus, as the autumn leaves turned to winter's chill, a new chapter was poised to unfold, a chapter where every whisper from the past and every hesitant step toward healing would light the way forward for both Rachel and Max. Winter had finally descended on the small town, blanketing everything in a quiet, icy stillness that seemed to echo the fragile state of both Rachel and Max. Despite the gentle progress they'd made, the cold months brought their own trials, forcing each of them to confront the harsh realities of aging, loss, and the weight of unspoken memories. One bitterly cold morning, as Rachel prepared Max's breakfast with extra care, she noticed that something was off. Max, who had been slowly regaining his strength, now lay listlessly in his bed, his breathing shallow and uneven. Panic gripped Rachel's heart as she gently touched his head, whispering, "Max, please, stay with me." The once quiet whimpers turned into soft, desperate sighs, and Rachel knew she had to act quickly. Without hesitation, she wrapped him in a warm blanket and hurriedly drove to Dr. Mitchell's clinic. The drive through the snowy streets was a blur of headlights and swirling snowflakes, mirroring the chaos of her thoughts. In the cramped waiting room, every tick of the clock felt like an eternity as she clutched Max's paw, praying silently for a miracle. Dr. Mitchell, with years of experience written in the gentle lines of his face, greeted them with a somber expression. After a thorough examination and a series of tests, he spoke quietly. "Rachel, Max's condition is critical. His body is fighting a losing battle. I can offer treatments and medications to ease his pain, but I have to be honest, his heart is weak, and his organs are beginning to shut down." Rachel's eyes filled with tears as she listened. The very thought of losing Max, who had become more than just a stray animal rescued from neglect, but a companion mirroring her own journey of healing, felt unbearable. Yet, deep down, a part of her braced for the inevitable. "There must be something we can do," she pleaded, her voice trembling. "He's been fighting so hard. I can't let him go." Dr. Mitchell's eyes softened with empathy. Sometimes, fighting isn't about prolonging suffering. It's about ensuring that when the time comes, it's with dignity and peace. But I'm here to help in any way I can. Let's try a rigorous treatment plan and see if we can stabilize him. Back at home after the clinic visit, a heavy silence settled over the house. Rachel sat by the window, watching the falling snow and reflecting on the fragile line between hope and despair. Later that day, Mr. Harrison appeared on her doorstep once more, his expression as stern and skeptical as ever. "Rachel," he began, his tone clipped, "I heard about Max's condition. Isn't it time to accept that some things can't be fixed? You're holding on to something that's already broken." It's not healthy for either of you. Rachel's eyes flashed with determination. Max is not just a broken dog. He's a living being with a past full of love and service. And I believe his struggle is far from over. I won't give up on him, nor on the chance to learn from his story. Their exchange was brief, but the impact lingered in the air, a reminder that the road to healing is fraught with external doubts and internal fears. Rachel resolved to honor every small victory Max had achieved, no matter how fleeting. That night, as the wind howled outside and the cold seeped into every corner of her home, Rachel found solace in the photo album on the coffee table. Amid the pages filled with memories of Daniel and happier times, a faded photograph of Max in his prime caught her attention once again. In that picture, the noble German shepherd stood tall, exuding the strength and determination that had once defined him as a police dog. Tears rolled down Rachel's cheeks as she gently traced the image with her fingers. "You were so much more than just a dog, Max," she murmured. "You were a hero. And now you deserve every chance at finding peace." In that moment, she vowed to fight for Max with every ounce of her being, determined to unearth every secret of his past that might give them the strength to move forward. The next few days were a blur of treatments, physical therapy sessions, and sleepless nights. Max's condition oscillated between slight improvements and sharp declines. There were moments when his eyes, clouded by pain, would flicker with a spark of life, a silent thank you to Rachel for not giving up on him. One particularly harrowing night, when Max's condition took a sudden downturn and his breaths became nearly imperceptible, Rachel found herself in the vet's office once more. Dr. Mitchell, his voice laden with regret and compassion, posed the difficult question that had been looming over them both. "Rachel, do you want to continue with aggressive treatment, or should we consider letting him go peacefully?" Rachel's heart pounded as she grappled with the decision. The clinic's cold, clinical environment felt worlds away from the warmth and memories of home. As she sat there, memories of Daniel, the gentle moments with Max, and every whispered promise they'd shared flooded her mind. The choice was not just about Max's life. It was about honoring a life that had given so much and ensuring that every moment left was filled with dignity and love. After what felt like an eternity of silence, Rachel met Dr. Mitchell's gaze with resolute clarity. "I'm not ready to let go," she said firmly, her voice steady despite the tremor of emotion beneath it. "We'll try everything we can. Max has so many more memories to share. He's not ready to say goodbye, not yet." In the days that followed, under the careful supervision of Dr. Mitchell, and with a renewed sense of determination, Rachel followed a strict treatment regimen for Max. The path was excruciatingly slow, filled with setbacks and small triumphs. Yet each time Max managed to lift his head or move a little closer to her, it felt as if the world was righting itself again. One crisp morning, as the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, Rachel awoke to find Max slowly inching his way to the doorway. His tired eyes met hers, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. In that silent exchange, there was a promise, a mutual understanding that even amidst pain and uncertainty, the fight for life was worth every effort. That day, as Rachel helped Max into his favorite spot by the fireplace, she felt a sense of calm determination. The winter of their hardship was slowly giving way to a new season, a season of healing, where the past was honored, the present was cherished, and the future, though uncertain, shimmered with the promise of new beginnings. In the quiet sanctuary of her home, Rachel and Max continued their journey together, united by shared struggles and the unyielding power of hope. And as the days grew longer and the snow began to melt, the echoes of their resilience whispered a simple, enduring truth. Even in the face of life's most daunting trials, love has the power to heal, to transform, and to remind us that every heartbeat is a victory in itself. As the chill of winter began to relent and the first buds of spring emerged, a quiet transformation took place within Rachel's home. Over the course of several weeks, the arduous journey of treatment and emotional battles had begun to bear fruit. Max, once teetering on the edge of despair, now showed signs of gradual, tender recovery, a small, steady improvement that filled Rachel with cautious hope. One bright morning, as soft sunlight streamed through the window, Rachel found Max awake and alert, his eyes clearer and more responsive than they had been in months. His steps, though still unsteady, carried the unmistakable rhythm of life slowly reasserting itself. Rachel, with a heart both grateful and humbled by his resilience, prepared his favorite meal with an extra dose of love and care. The sound of his gentle panting and a tentative wag of his tail became the soft soundtrack of a new beginning. Word of Max's slow but steady recovery began to ripple through the small town. Even Mr. Harrison, whose skepticism had once cut sharply through the quiet determination of Rachel, started to notice the change. In a quiet gesture of reconciliation, he stopped by one afternoon with a modest bouquet of wildflowers. "I suppose there's more to hope than I thought," he remarked, his tone softer than before. The exchange, though brief, signified a subtle shift in the community's perception, one that recognized the transformative power of care and compassion. At the same time, a deeper mystery from Max's past slowly unraveled. While sorting through some old records with Ethan, Rachel discovered additional letters and photographs that hinted at a remarkable connection between Max and her late husband, Daniel. One faded letter spoke of a courageous police officer, a loyal companion, and an unspoken bond that transcended time. Though the details remained incomplete, the discovery brought an unexpected sense of comfort. It seemed that in some way, Daniel's enduring spirit might have touched Max's life, binding their stories together in a tapestry of loyalty, love, and shared sacrifice. In the quiet moments that followed, as Rachel sat by the fireplace with Max curled up by her side, she allowed herself to grieve and to celebrate the memories that had shaped her life. Each soft breath from Max became a reminder that healing was a gradual process, one that required patience, understanding, and most importantly, love. Their bond deepened, transcending the roles of caregiver and patient. In Max, Rachel found a steadfast companion whose silent strength mirrored her own determination to move forward despite the scars of the past. One spring afternoon, Rachel and Max took a slow walk through the newly awakened garden. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blossoms and the gentle hum of nature waking from its long slumber. With each step, Rachel felt as if she was not only walking beside Max, but also alongside the spirit of Daniel, a guiding presence in the tapestry of her life. The path ahead was no longer shrouded in uncertainty and despair. Instead, it was illuminated by the promise of renewal and the unyielding power of compassion. In that moment, as Max nudged her hand with a gentle, reassuring touch, Rachel realized that their journey was far from over. It was, in fact, just beginning, a testament to the fact that even the most fragile hearts can learn to love again. With a deep, steady breath, she whispered softly, "We're in this together, Max. Let's face tomorrow with hope." And so, in the gentle light of a new day, their story continued, an enduring reminder that healing, no matter how slow or uncertain, is always possible when love is at the heart of every step forward. As summer's gentle warmth embraced the town, Rachel's home had evolved into a haven not only for Max, but also for a growing circle of friends and neighbors who had been touched by their story. The once fragile bond between a grieving woman and a weather dog had blossomed into a living testament to hope, healing, and the power of compassion. Word of Max's remarkable recovery and the mysterious ties to a past filled with bravery and loyalty had spread far beyond the small neighborhood. Local residents, inspired by Rachel's unwavering commitment, began to rally around her. A community event was organized at the town park, a celebration of resilience, where stories of second chances were shared. At the event, people of all ages gathered to honor not just Max's journey, but the universal truth that every life, no matter how battered by time or circumstance, held immense worth. When Mr. Harrison, once the staunch skeptic, took to the stage to speak about the transformative power of care, his voice was humbled by experience. "I was wrong to doubt," he admitted, his eyes moist with regret and newfound understanding. "In witnessing Max's spirit and Rachel's love, I learned that no life should be discarded, no matter its age or condition." In the quieter moments that followed the celebration, Rachel found herself poring over more of Max's records with Ethan. Together, they uncovered further evidence of the deep bond between Max and the late officer, a man who had once served alongside Daniel during turbulent times. A series of letters detailed moments of camaraderie and sacrifice, suggesting that Max had once been a guardian in more ways than one. One particular document, a letter penned by the officer himself, described Max as a steadfast friend in the darkest hours, a living symbol of hope amid chaos. Though the connection to Daniel was never made explicitly clear, Rachel felt a profound kinship with this narrative. It was as if Max carried within him not just the legacy of a courageous past, but also the lingering warmth of a love that had once united two souls. Emboldened by the revelations, Rachel began to see her own journey through a new lens. With Max's steady progress as a mirror for her personal healing, she ventured out into life with a cautious optimism. The long evenings once spent in quiet solitude were now filled with impromptu walks, small gatherings with newfound friends, and volunteer work at the shelter, a cause that had become deeply personal. One summer afternoon, as she and Max strolled along a tree-lined path, the gentle rustle of leaves overhead echoed the rhythm of a life renewed. With every step, Rachel felt the weight of her loss lighten, replaced by a tender resolve to honor both the past and the future. Max, now more vibrant despite the lingering signs of his age, trotted alongside her, a silent reminder that healing was an ongoing shared journey. In the months that followed, Rachel began planning a small memorial dedicated to the unsung heroes of the community, both the brave souls of the past and the quiet champions of the present like Max. The memorial was to be a living space, adorned with photographs, letters, and mementos that celebrated loyalty, courage, and the beauty of second chances. On the day of the memorial's unveiling, as community members gathered in respectful silence and joyful reminiscence, Rachel stood before the assembled crowd. With Max resting at her feet, she spoke of love, loss, and the miraculous capacity for healing that exists within every heart. Today, she said, voice clear and resolute, we honor the legacies of those who have given everything for others. Let us remember that every act of kindness, no matter how small, creates ripples that can change lives. As the memorial ceremony drew to a close, Rachel and Max returned to the quiet sanctuary of their home. In that peaceful moment, bathed in the soft glow of twilight, Rachel reflected on the journey that had brought them here, a journey marked by grief, perseverance, and ultimately renewal. Max's eyes, once clouded by despair, now sparkled with a quiet strength and a deep, enduring wisdom. Their story was far from over. It was a legacy that would continue to inspire others, a gentle reminder that love and resilience are the true healers of wounded hearts. Together, they had proven that even in the twilight of life, new beginnings are always within reach, and that every heartbeat, no matter how fragile, is a triumph worth celebrating. As the seasons continued their steady rhythm, summer gradually gave way to a crisp early autumn. In this gentle transition, Rachel and Max found themselves at the crossroads of reflection and renewal, a moment when their shared journey was both celebrated and passed on as a guiding light for others. On a clear autumn afternoon, the town gathered once more at the memorial site Rachel had so lovingly created. This time, however, the event had grown into an annual tradition, a celebration of the quiet heroes whose lives, though marked by hardship, had inspired a community to embrace compassion and resilience. Under a canopy of amber leaves, Rachel stood before the crowd with Max nestled loyally by her side. She spoke with a voice both soft and resolute, recalling the long, winding road that had led them here. Today, we honor not only the memory of those who have gone before us, but also the spirit that lives on in every act of love and care. Max's journey is a testament to the fact that every life has a purpose, every soul a story worth cherishing. The words resonated through the gathered faces, each person reminded of their own battles and the quiet strength found in caring for others. In the days that followed, Rachel dedicated herself to expanding the legacy of the shelter and the memorial. With the help of Ethan, Olivia, and even a reformed Mr. Harrison, she began organizing community workshops on animal care, mental health, and the power of resilience. The sessions, held in a renovated community center adjacent to the shelter, became a hub for sharing personal stories of loss, recovery, and hope. Max, ever the gentle teacher, was often present during these gatherings, his calm demeanor and soft eyes serving as a living reminder that even in vulnerability, there is immeasurable strength. While the past was honored and remembered, Rachel also learned to look forward with renewed purpose. Inspired by the bonds she had rebuilt and the lessons of perseverance, she pursued new avenues of creativity, writing a memoir that intertwined her memories of Daniel, the hidden legacy of Max, and the collective healing experience by her community. The process of writing allowed her to channel her grief into hope, transforming personal tragedy into a source of inspiration for others. Max, now a symbol of undying loyalty and quiet courage, continued to accompany Rachel on her daily walks. Their journeys through the neighborhood parks and along tree-lined streets were a celebration of every small victory, a wagging tail, a steady step, and moments of shared silence that spoke volumes about the enduring power of companionship. As autumn deepened and the first hints of winter whispered in the air, Rachel reflected on the transformative journey that had forever changed her life. She had discovered that healing was not a destination, but an ongoing process, a mosaic of memories, moments of joy, and even the bittersweet pain of loss. Max's once dim eyes now shone with quiet determination, mirroring Rachel's own inner light. Together, they had forged a legacy that would continue to inspire long after the seasons had turned, reminding everyone that love, however fragile, is the spark that can ignite a brighter tomorrow. In the final moments of that transformative year, as twilight settled over the town, Rachel and Max stood together on the porch of their home. The gentle hum of crickets filled the air, and a soft breeze carried the promise of change. Rachel placed a tender hand on Max's head and whispered, "Thank you for teaching me that every ending is simply the start of a new chapter. Our story will live on in every heart we touch." And in that quiet, heartfelt moment, it was clear that their journey, steeped in lost resilience and the boundless power of love, had not ended but had become a beacon for tomorrow, lighting the way for all who dared to hope again. Years later, the legacy that Rachel and Max built together had grown into a vibrant beacon of community strength and compassion. The journey that began in the quiet corners of a small shelter had blossomed into an enduring movement, a living testament to the power of resilience and love. The memorial site, once a modest tribute to forgotten heroes, had evolved into a thriving community space. Now, under a canopy of trees that changed with every season, residents gathered regularly to share their stories, celebrate milestones, and extend a helping hand to those in need. Workshops, art exhibits, and public readings filled the space with life and purpose, a constant reminder that every ending could spark a new beginning. Rachel's memoir, inspired by her journey with Max, had touched countless lives, inspiring others to embrace healing and transformation. Her words, filled with raw emotion and quiet wisdom, were read in community centers, schools, and even featured in local media. The memoir became a catalyst for discussions about loss, recovery, and the unyielding strength of the human spirit. Meanwhile, Max, whose gentle presence had once rekindled hope in a weary heart, remained a cherished companion. Though his steps were slower now and his muzzle grayed with time, his eyes still shone with the quiet determination that had always defined him. Every wag of his tail and every soft nudge was a reminder that love never fades. It only grows deeper with time. As new generations came of age in the community, Rachel and Max became symbols of compassion and perseverance. Young volunteers, inspired by their story, took up the mantle of caring for the shelter's animals and each other. Programs were established to mentor those facing personal hardships, linking the past with the future in a continuous cycle of care. At community events, tales of Rachel and Max were shared alongside new stories of recovery and hope. Elderly residents recalled how a simple act of kindness had once saved a life, while younger members learned that every person and every animal has a story worth cherishing. In every corner of the town, the spirit of compassion was alive, nurtured by the legacy of two souls who had dared to believe in second chances. On a cool autumn evening, as twilight settled over the town and painted the sky with hues of orange and purple, Rachel sat on her porch with Max resting his head gently on her lap. The memories of the past, joys, sorrows, and all the moments in between, flowed through her mind like a serene river. She looked at Max, whose eyes still held that timeless spark of hope, and whispered softly, "Our journey isn't just about what we've endured, but about what we've built together, a legacy of love that will light the way for generations to come." The soft murmur of the wind and the distant laughter from the community celebration below were enough to affirm that their shared path was far from over. Their story, a beautiful blend of loss and renewal, had become an eternal echo, a reminder that every heart, no matter how broken, can find healing through love, community, and hope. As the stars began to twinkle overhead, casting a gentle glow over the quiet landscape, Rachel knew that the journey they had embarked upon would continue to inspire long after the physical memories faded. Max had taught her that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the smallest acts of kindness could spark transformations that ripple through time. In that peaceful moment, enveloped by the enduring warmth of community and the promise of tomorrow, Rachel smiled. Their legacy was not confined to the pages of a memoir or the walls of a memorial. It was alive in every life touched by their story, every gentle act of compassion, and every hopeful step taken toward a brighter future. And so, as night embraced the town, the journey continued, a timeless dance of memories, love, and the unyielding belief that every new dawn brings the opportunity for a fresh start.